Yeah, it means a lot to me hearing you talk about that because I've mentioned like on this show, I speak to people from the left, I speak to people from the right. I try my best, and I sometimes speak to quite seen as controversial people that I don't
Yeah, you
particularly.
do. You
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
So I'll speak to. I recently spoke to Dave Rubin, for example, very outspoken guy. Um, Me and Dave spoke beforehand. I told him I don't agree with a lot of what he says. He doesn't agree with a lot of what I think, but we're still able to have a conversation. The same
Yeah.
with Douglas Murray, and there's been countless guys. But
Yeah. Yeah.
even though I express that I don't, necessarily agree with what they say, I've received some messages, with people, saying some horrible things to myself, not because of anything I said, but because I had a conversation with someone.
Uh-huh.
So what advice would you give? Because I think in the past, or maybe when I first had my first one or two instances of this, it made me almost think to myself, maybe I should stop. But then, what advice would you give in that regard?
Well, don't. My advice is don't stop. And there's a lot of well rehearsed lines, a lot of well rehearsed lines about to the effect of, if you're not upsetting some people, then you're not doing your job.
Mm.
Certainly, in what you're doing, you're being I don't know how you describe exactly what it is that you do, but an on-screen journalist, let's say, or a
Mm.
video journalist, would perhaps be a reasonable description of some of what you do.
Yeah.
And if you're not upsetting people and attracting some, even savage criticism, then you're probably not doing it right. And if you are getting people saying, how dare you do this and how dare you give airtime to so and so, well, you have to take that as a badge of honor, because anyone that seeks to silence you and tries to dictate to you the kind of people that it's appropriate for you to talk to, that's just completely out of order. And that's why that completely intolerable potential state of affairs is why people like Joe Rogan.
Mm.
I mean, he's been at it for I don't know, is it 10 years or something?
Yeah.
He was at least, so he was right out there ahead of the wave. And he demonstrated a number of things, but particularly the fact that long form conversations are actually hypnotic for people. Far from this notion that people are only interested in a few minutes, a soundbite of the kind of thing that you hear on breakfast television, where someone's supposed to, make an argument in that's my wolfhound howling there. People come on and they try to make an argument in 2 minutes. It's hopeless. Whereas, that kind of long format, 3 hours of conversation between 2 or 3 people, and you properly, by the end of it, you think, yes, I've actually had the opportunity to hear that person think out loud, sometimes to change their opinion and be modified by the conversation that they're having. And likewise, the likes of Joe Rogan has had everyone on. Some of the most controversial figures. I've listened to hours and hours and hours of it, and some people that he's had on have driven me up the wall. Been ready to, take a swing at the screen, and other people, I completely agree with. Other people just leave me cold. But he's taken the trouble to give the oxygen of conversation to everyone. Just a few of the names that you were name checking there yourself. The fact that you've spoken to Douglas Murray and Brett Weinstein, and they're people that I've seen them talk, on Joe Rogan, and I've seen them talk together in other instances, and they don't agree, and they don't always agree with Joe Rogan, but the whole point of conversation. I mean, is there anything more anodyne and pointless than just having a conversation all the time with people that you agree with? It's great fun to feel that you're simpatico with somebody you're talking to from time to time, and it reinforces maybe your sense of belief and your sense of confidence. But it's also fantastic to be completely challenged by somebody that's completely the polar opposite view. And if you're prepared to listen, even grudgingly, you usually think, well, actually, you scored a point there, or at the very least, you expressed that view eloquently, and that was well articulated. I don't maybe agree with you, but you painted a word picture for me there that I was able to get, and I understand you. I don't agree with you, but I get you. And this this appetite that seems to be out there, where people are being deplatformed by students and universities and all the rest of it, because it would be too dangerous for them to listen to this person speak. That way, sterility lies. And if you plough the fields with salt, it's like Carthage, just nothing grows. And these places like like university campuses, which should be the most fertile ground where anything and everything might grow, will just become these sterile wastelands where there's nothing.